Good morning, beloveds. I have three of the cats in here with me. I have Hayes, Foster, and Rita, which are the usual three that are in here. Um, so if I get distracted, now you know why. All right. It is May 16th, and if you did not see the eclipse last night, I don't know what kind of rock you were living under. Because it started around 9:30, and we went out just to see it, and we thought, okay. And of course, cell phones cannot take pictures of that at all. It just, yeah. And so we came back in and we went back out, and then we actually stood out there for, I guess, 15-20 minutes and watched the rest of it happen. And then we kept going out and checking, and it just didn't come back. And I was like, alrighty then. And so finally, I think I gave up and went to bed, and it was still, the earth, the moon was still in the earth's shadow, and we were just like, and, so we didn't see the other half of it. We didn't see it coming out, but it went behind, it went into the earth's shadow fairly quickly. It took about an hour, and then it just stayed there. We were just like, all right. So it was really incredible to see. And so if you're on Facebook and your Facebook feed is not flooded with varying from terrible to really good pictures, then yeah, maybe you need to up your standards on your friends. Get some friends with cameras. Even when we don't, even when we can't, so, for the most part, if it's not a good picture, I won't post it. But there are things like, okay, I straight up know that I cannot take a good picture of the moon after the sun goes down. Because I can get really good pictures of the moon before the sun goes down. Irony there. But I still posted them because it was fun. So, it is May 16th. Our title is Spiritual Love in Action. Our first quote is, if we love one another, God dwelleth in us, and God's love is perfected in us. And that is 1 John 4:12. And the second quote is, think of the whole world as your friend, but you must also be the friend of the whole world. And that is Science of Mind, page 298. Last year, the area in which I live was struck by a powerful earthquake. All of its dreadfulness was present: death, devastation, horrendous damage, not to mention the psychological shock it produced. There was an unwillingness to believe such a disaster could actually take place. Afterwards, we all scurried about, calling loved ones, surveying our personal households. Yet, during the quake's aftermath, something else was present. It was a phenomenon that I'd always noticed whenever disaster strikes. It is the human inclination to forget all differences and to bond together in helpfulness. There were constant reports of heroism, kindness, and generosity. I do believe that what I saw was spiritual love in action. It was love that came across from the heart of the deepest level of our being. Once our busyness and veneer of selfhood are stripped away, often through a traumatic experience, we come to a place of oneness. All superficiality is gone. Only love remains. God has the opportunity to move through the hearts that are open, and does. Ernest Holmes has suggested that we can be this loving through conscious choice rather than driven to it because of great suffering. We could be. How very wonderful if we would be. I choose to be loving. I act from the highest and best of my thinking. I am a light in my world as I bring my personal goodness everywhere I go. And I give thanks for the opportunity to do my best at all times, bringing my God self to bear everywhere. And that is MS, Margaret Stortz. And I know this was written before 9/11, because, at this point, because that shook the entire country, it's the same thing. It's interesting when a disaster strikes, and we forget everything. Because I remember 9/11. And I remember that because my mother was on an airplane that day. And I remember that this total stranger called me to tell me where my mom was. And, technology's come a long way, because, I didn't have a cell phone. My mom had a BlackBerry. And of course, the cell phone towers were just a couple of big ones went down, and two, they were jammed. Everybody was, worried. And, Mom was able to get a text out on her BlackBerry to a coworker and said, "Hey, can you call these people and let them know that I'm safe?" But her point and Ernest's point is the same thing. It's like, we can do this when disasters happen. Why can't we do it all the time? And Ernest's point is, it's a conscious choice. When disasters happen, then we are reacting. And the good news is, as a general rule, we are reacting from the best part of ourselves. We are responding to the pain and suffering of others. And it's the best part of ourselves that is reacting to that. So, when I encourage you to do the loving, kind, compassionate thing for yourself, the reason why I do that is because I want you to build that conscious response of love, kindness, and compassion so that you can have a response rather than a reaction. And you can make that conscious choice to respond lovingly, kindly, and compassionately, no matter what is happening. Because we meet people who are having terrible days and they're not nice. And we can choose to respond in kind, the way they are acting. We can choose no response at all, or we can choose a loving, kind, and compassionate response. Now, a loving, kind, and compassionate response is whatever response you are going to give, and then you are allowed to walk away. A loving, kind, and compassionate response does not mean you have to stay and put up with their bad behavior. Okay? And frequently, it's like, okay, I see you're having a tough day. I'll check in on you later. Or, I see you are having a bad day. Is there anything I can do? And if there's not, then I can walk away. Why does it take disasters for us to respond to things? It was a tough weekend. I do not enjoy having that conversation with my senior minister about, hey, because I do the closing treatment at the center. I don't enjoy that conversation of, hey, there was a mass shooting. Have you got this, or do you want me to do it? And I always say, I can do this. And he mentioned it too. So he set me up so that I could do it. I don't know. I guess so that I could do it better. So love in action, that's why she was a senior when I was a freshman. She teaches mindfulness in schools. That is what she does. Her program is, she goes into schools and she teaches mindfulness. She teaches meditation to school children, to young school children, because there is good research showing that when we teach mindfulness and meditation to children, they grow up better. They grow up healthier. They don't act out in ways that we're seeing in the news. And it is about love in action. And what can we do to consciously be love in action? What can we do so that it doesn't take a disaster to bring out the best in us? Because that right there is proof that there is the best in us. if we can react that way in the face of a disaster, if we could consciously choose it. And that's her point. That is exactly her point. Okay, so spiritual love in action. If we love one another, God dwelleth in us, and God's love is perfected in us. Because we are what makes God's love whole. Because we are the physical action of God's love. Because God's love enters the material realm through us. That's what John is saying. That's 1 John 4:12. And then Ernest in The Science of Mind, page 298, is reminding us, think of the whole world as your friend, but you must also be the friend to the whole world. If you want to have friends, you got to be a friend. So whatever it is that you want in this world, you have to be that in this world. You want love, be love. You want kindness, be kind. You want compassion, be compassionate. You want a friend, be friend. So, she reminds us of her story. Last year in the area in which I live was struck by a powerful earthquake, which is why immediately I was like, yeah, I remember this. I remember 9/11. You know, that's my disaster story. And then Hurricane Harvey was the same thing. Total strangers. When I was working in a house, you know, of a person that I knew, you know, somebody came by and said, hey, would you like lunch? And it was a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and an apple. And it was the best peanut butter and jelly sandwich I'd had. And then another day when I had come back to help with something else, a lady came back and said, and brought us ham and turkey sandwiches, and chips and cookies. And, you know, and then I went and worked in total strangers' houses. And then people drove by on the side, you know, with supplies, cleaning supplies, and stopped by and said, hey, do you need paper towels? Do you need cleaning? You know, do you need Lysol wipes? What do you need? You know, I went and worked in a stranger's house and realized, okay, here's what we need to do this. And so I went to the store and spent $80 on brooms and mops and, you know, buckets for, you know, somebody I couldn't even tell you where they lived. I know the neighborhood, but you know what I mean. But why does it always have to be a disaster? In all of its dreadfulness was present. Death, devastation, horrendous damage, not to mention the psychological shock it produced. There was an unwillingness to believe such a disaster could actually take place.
Surprise!
Afterwards, we all scurried about calling loved ones, surveying our personal households. Yet, during the quake's aftermath, something else was present. It was a phenomenon that I've always noticed whenever disaster strikes. It is the human inclination to forget all differences and bond together in helpfulness. There were constant reports of heroism, kindness, and generosity. Go back and look at any disaster, be it natural, Harvey, or man-made, which is 9/11, and see what it was like for the first couple of months. And then ask yourself why it only lasts that long. I do believe that what I saw was spiritual love in action. It was love that came from the heart at the deepest level of our being. And that's what I'm talking about. The deepest level of our being. The deepest level of our being is love. No matter what else happens, the best of us, it's there. We come pre-installed with that Christ consciousness. And events like that bring it out. Well, we can access it any time. Once our busyness and veneer of selfhood are stripped away, often through a traumatic experience, we come to a place of oneness. All superficiality is gone. Only love remains. God has the opportunity to move through hearts that are open, and does. And that's it. In those moments, we are open to. So that is the point of spiritual practice, to be open to it all the time. Or at least as much of it as we can bear. So, And God has the opportunity to move through. That's the other thing, because that's one of the things that I will say is we are the hands and feet. We are the arms of God. We are the loving heart. We are the listening ear of God. It's like when God responds to anything, God responds through us. You never know when you are the answer to someone's prayer. Although occasionally they will tell you. If you haven't done a food market, because literally at one of the food markets, that's exactly what a woman told us. We were literally the answer to her prayer to feeding her kids for that week. Ernest Holmes has suggested that we can be this loving through conscious choice rather than driven to it because of great suffering. We could be. How very wonderful if we would be. And that is what Science of Mind works towards. Because that's what he believed. He believed the best of us. Ernest believed the best of us. And it's up to us to live up to that. I believe Jesus believed the best of us too. Otherwise, why in the heck would he have made a sacrifice like that? I choose to be loving. I act from the highest and best of my thinking. I am a light in my world as I bring my personal goodness everywhere I go, and I give thanks for the opportunity to do my best at all times, bringing my God self to bear everywhere. All right, so that phrase right there, that last one, that's the mission. The mission today, should we choose to accept it, is to bring our God self to bear everywhere we are. Everywhere we are. Wherever. Whatever it is that we are doing, if we open that conscious spiritual love in action.
Surprise!
And I didn't mute my phone, and I should have apparently this morning, because everybody has something to say. So your mission is to consider what that means. Consider what it means to bring your God self to bear, and then do it. And then do it. All right. So that's the mission. And then, as always, I've already mentioned spiritual practice. Do something loving for yourself. Do something kind for yourself. Do something compassionate for yourself every day. It doesn't matter how big. It doesn't matter how small. The point is to do that loving, kind, compassionate thing for yourself because you deserve it. You deserve your own love. You deserve your own kindness. You deserve your own compassion. But you're also practicing, and practicing makes permanent. You are creating that default setting, that first response, so that no matter what happens, and who it happens to, you can have a loving, kind, and compassionate response. You can literally be spiritual love in action. All right, beloveds. You know all of my suggestions. So I will also remind you to do something to engage your mind and your body today. Drink plenty of water. Go get that bright light early in your day. It does reset your hormones. And open the windows of your soul. Allow the breath of heaven to remind you, you do live in heaven right here, right now. It is all around you all the time. We are literally surrounded by the body of God. And Emma gives the best advice to finding it. Look for the good and praise it. Heaven is a state of mind. It's a state of consciousness. And if you've got that, then heaven is any place that you are. Okay, beloveds. I'm going to move into the process of my day. I'm going to encourage you to have a great day, a wondrous day, a fantastic day, a magical day. I'm starting to slur my words here. An enchanting day, an enchanted day. A fantastic day, a wonderful day, a good day. And if that is too much pressure, simply have a day, because you are enough, just as you are. You are a beloved child of God, in whom God is well pleased and well represented. So bear that in mind when you look in your eyes. The goal is to know who you are and act accordingly. And who you are is a beloved child of God. So, moving on. Catch us on the social medias. We have the second part of the soul session coming up, and I have pinned the soul session, I pinned the event to the top and put the soul session, the first soul session in the comments. So if you want to go watch that, that'll make it easier to find. So there's that. And there was something else, and whatever it was. Oh, it's really busy. We've got a lot coming up in the next couple of weeks. So email info@creativelife.org. And that will get you that'll get you on the constant contact. So you'll know what's going on. And then we're on the social medias as Creative Life Spiritual Center or Creative Life Spark. I am the running Rev Ryan on the social medias that I am on. So, like us, subscribe, follow us, whatever it is that you have to do on each one of those, keep up with us as we can barely keep up with ourselves. And yeah, Reverend David should be on around 5 p.m. with you. I'll be back with you at 9 a.m. So take care of yourself, know that you're loved, and I will see you next time.